Hi, welcome to Joseph and Elene. Thank you for tuning in.
On this episode, we're going to talk about handling the stress and tension of our cities being opened up and going back to work.
So how do we as a couple and as a family cope with uncertainty during this time?
The first thing is having an awareness. There is a strong possibility that the stress and tension that we're feeling can be directed towards your partner or your family members.
Yeah. So we really want to be careful that our stress isn't misplaced and that we make our partners or our family members the problem.
Yeah. So also understanding that we have different coping strategies as it relates to fear and anxiety. Some of us have a fight coping style, which means they take an aggressive position. They are literally ready for war.
And others of us have a flight. And so with that, a person wants to put distance between themselves and the problem. It may be physical distance, mental distance, or even emotional distance.
Right. And then there's a person who freezes. That's their coping style. The freezing coping style is very difficult to identify because this person doesn't say anything, they don't do anything, they don't have any different behavior. And so it's a challenge for people to know what's happening because on the outside, they look like everything is normal, but on the inside, they're feeling a lot of tension and unresolved stress.
Yeah. So how do we support each other's concerns?
Well, number one, actively listen. Listen with your heart, not with your head only. And we talked about this in one of our other episodes. You want to share a little bit about that?
So when you're listening with your heart versus your head, if you're listening with your heart, you're able to hear what the real problem is. You may hear that the person is stressed, that they're having anxiety, that they're feeling, they're confused, they may be tense about things that are going on in their life. But if you're only hearing with your head, all you're hearing is the words and you're not seeing behind what is behind the things that they're saying. So you want to be able to hear with your heart so that you can really understand your partner.
An example of that would be, say your partner comes home and they're complaining about their boss and they're saying they don't know what they're doing and they're going to run this company bankrupt. What their heart is really saying is I'm afraid that I won't have a job if I stay in this company. So that's listening with your heart versus listening with your head.
And if you were listening with your head, you would have totally missed that. All you would have heard was the person complaining and not really hearing that they're afraid. There's some fear there.
Right.
And some stress.
So some of the other things you can do is paraphrase. When you paraphrase, after your partner or your family member has said something to you, you can say back to them, so what I heard you say was this, or what I think you're saying to me is that. Paraphrasing has two great benefits. One of the benefits is that it allows whoever you're talking to, your partner or your family member, to know that you're listening to them. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is if you are wrong in what you thought that they said, you misunderstood them, they have an opportunity to correct you and say,
that is not what I said.
And she does that very well.
So how do we create space to discuss our concerns and our fears?
The first thing is to make sure that this is not present. Oftentimes, we have these cell phones with us. There was research done. People can lose their keys, they can lose their computers, but they always know where their phone is. So you want to create an atmosphere that each of you is not distracted. So getting rid of the phone is the first thing to having a conversation.
And the next thing is to make sure that you pick a time that is convenient for both of you, not just for one of you.
Right. And the reason is because when you start having these conversations, you want people to be able to have an opportunity to process what they're thinking and process what they're feeling. Some people need more time to process than others, so it's better to have a meeting that you've scheduled versus having a spur-of-the-moment meeting just because you have time.
So maybe each person can have a responsibility in this meeting. So they bring a specific information to this meeting. So as the city opens, he may be responsible for knowing what our civic leaders are telling us that we need to do.
So what are some proactive things that you and your family or you as a couple can do during these times of stress to meet your family's unique needs.
So one thing that we can do, you may not be able to have that longer meeting, but you can have a check-in.
Right. And having check-ins are intentional, deliberate sessions for you and your family to sit around, or you and your partner to discuss your day, how you feel, where your stress levels are, what your concerns are. Check-ins are simply that. They're a safe place for you to be able to share, but also for you to hear what's going on with your partner.
And something that we do if we notice that our partner's in a state of stress or we're not sure really what's going on with them is that we ask each other, can I have a headline?
Right.
And a headline is basically, if you think of a news story or something that you read online, a news story that you read online, it's just the title.
Also, provide each other space so that they can have an awareness of where they are emotionally. Are they in a coping style right now, either fight, flight, or freeze? Provide that kind of space for people to process what's going on internally.
I think this is really important for the person who's a freeze person, because they may be filled with so much anxiety or so much stress that they may not have the time to process anything that was going on.
Yeah, that's so true. Also know that during times of stress and tension, especially high stress and tension, we tend to revert back to old coping styles that we may have had as a child or a teenager.
Because they were comfortable.
Yeah. You don't even have to think about them. So we want to give you some strategies during these times of uncertainty, stress, and tension.
So you want to make sure that you practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is talking about being present, being in the moment. We have a lot of thoughts going on in our head at the same time. And so you want to just be in the moment, silence everything around you so that you're able to internally see where you are.
So what does being in the moment mean? Being in the moment means I'm not thinking about things that happened in the past, and I'm not thinking about things that I need to do in the future. Most of us spend a lot of time either in the past with regrets or in the future. And so being present, you are just in that moment. You let both of those things go and you're in that moment. You know what you're feeling. You know what the thoughts that are going through your mind in that moment. That's mindfulness.
And when you're practicing mindfulness, don't label any of the things that you're feeling as right or wrong. Just see what is it that you are feeling.
Yeah. Another technique or skill is meditation. Meditation is not easy because most of us, research says that we have about 70,000 thoughts that we think every single day. So meditation is the discipline of quieting our mind, which is not always easy, but meditation is very good in reducing stress and tension.
And there are a lot of good apps right now that you can use to help you with meditation. Calm, mindfulness, there are a lot of things that are free out there that you can use to help you practice meditation. Another thing that we can do is prayer. If you're a person of faith, you can pray.
Oh, absolutely. Prayer helps to ease a lot of the tension and strain, to know that you have a God who is listening to you. Also, there are some relaxation techniques that my wife and I like to practice, using YouTube videos.
I love relaxation techniques. One of the things that I like to do is that I go through a check-in for my entire body. And so I'll see, like, I'll check in with my neck and see what's going on with my neck. Is my neck tense? If it is, I'm going to release it. I'm going to do some breathing exercises so that I release the tension in my neck. Then I'm going to go down to my shoulders. Do I feel tension in my shoulders? Take a couple of breaths after that and release that tension that's there. By the time I'm done, my entire body is relaxed because I go from head to toe. And honestly, there's several times that I've actually fallen asleep.
Hence relaxation. So if you fall asleep, don't worry about it. It means you really got relaxed.
Good job.
Yeah. So something that we also do is we listen to positive affirmations. A lot of the information that you get during the day is negative. So you want to replace some of those things with positive affirmations. And we listen to those every single night.
Yeah. And we also have created our own so that we speak positively to ourselves. We practice positive self-talk as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And in the positive self-talk, you can restory or reframe the narrative that you have been saying. So for instance, instead of me saying, I'm going to have a horrible day, I hate going there, say, you know what? It might be a challenge, but I am strong enough to make it through. Positive self-talk can make you not only feel better, but it'll make you think better. And as it relates to your mood, people who are thinking negative thoughts rarely feel good, and people who are thinking positive thoughts rarely feel bad. So positive thoughts give you good moods, while negative thoughts will impact you and give you a negative mood.
The California Surgeon General has a stress-busting playbooks, both for children and adults. One of the things that they talk about is making sure that you have supportive relationships and that you stay connected to your community. During times of stress, it is so important that you have a body that you can lean on.
Oh, that is so true. Support, support, support. The more support people have, the better they do. Also, the Surgeon General says exercise at least 60 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be all at one time. You could do 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, or 15 minutes here, 35 minutes there. Just make sure that you exercise at least 60 minutes a day. That has a way of releasing endorphins, which make you feel better, but also it releases the stress and tension that is built up during your workday. So that exercising 60 minutes a day works wonders, not only on you, but it will also impact your relationships.
Another thing that they mention is your nutrition. Really important, because sometimes during these times there may be a lot more substance abuse use. Also, you may be eating a lot more sugars and carbs, and
fats and salts
and salts. But the thing is, especially like with sugars and with carbs, like you may have that high from eating it, but then you crash and then you have that low.
Right.
And so they do affect. You have to realize that there is a connection with your feelings and your emotions, and sometimes the things that you're eating.
Mm-hmm. Also, having good sleep habits, going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. That is very helpful with your circadian rhythm. Having good sleep habits, that'll make you feel better. It'll also make others around you feel better.
And sometimes with that sleep habit, you have to create the atmosphere for sleep. Remove all distractions. Make sure that your environment is cool, it's quiet. And if you need to put some aromatherapy on, put some aromatherapy on. Whatever you do to get that relaxation going so that you can have a really good restful sleep.
Right. So we hope you appreciate some of the things that we gave to you today. We'd like to hear from you. Tell us what you think about our video. Tell us what are some of the things that are helpful for you and your family. We'd love to share some of those things that we hear back from you.
So you've been listening to Joseph and Elene. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.